Good morning. Good morning. How's everyone doing? Highlighted message already? The show hasn't even started. Oh, and an update on the illegal Splatoon betting ring. So you did a parlay. You had them going 6-0 and then went on and continued the bet. You gotta cash out while the money's hot. Play low ink again. Yeah, I saw you tweet something out about a pizza box. Was there some sort of pizza party or something? Well, good, Bear. I'm glad you had that experience. I'm glad people enjoy playing in our tournament. The community top 10 was closer than mine. I don't know. I at least had Cubata 2 euros in my top 10. How do you get top 4 in a low ink and not make the community's top 10? Something's up with that. Also, there was something else with the... By the way, I love the community top 10 thing. I think any kind of conversation being driven by that is pretty cool. Who else did I have? C Drive, Surf and Turf, Cosmic Cherries. Did Cosmic Cherries even play? I'm also surprised Jelly Squids isn't even mentioned anywhere. They made Alpha last month. I mean, I know they didn't do particularly well in terms of what they've done before, but there's some teams on here that are kind of head scratching. Like, how do you not even have them somewhere? But and of course, the real winners is still wrong. Secret Elixir had 2 times in grand finals to try to win this tournament. They couldn't get it done. I definitely missed on a lot of, well, I mean, nobody had 8K ping. What is top 32? Does this look like a help desk to you? Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Popcast. Whenever you're listening to this, whether it be live or a VOD, Twitch or YouTube, or Spotify, while you are asking the same question 3 times in the low-ink help desk, asking if making alpha bracket also at the same time makes you Div 5. Apologizing for flooding chat to support Kubata 2 euros, only to threaten to do it again next month. Whatever it is that you're doing right now, appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this. Unless I don't. We are officially 6 days away from the birth of Pop Gun Jr. At this point, a week from today, our son will be on planet Earth. That has... I don't know where my mind is mentally. Like, is it really sunk in? I don't know. It's such a bizarre experience to where we are right now. And I'm not even the one who's pregnant. So it's a interesting time for sure. Super excited. A little bit nervous, but overall, just ready to get it over with. I think we're done with the whole human being living inside of my wife rent-free kind of thing. I think we're ready for some actual stuff coming out. Now, for some of you who might be sitting here saying, "Wait, Popgood, why are you doing the Popcast if your wife could technically be rushed to the hospital at any moment?" It's not going to happen, all right? Everything is good. We've made all of the preparations necessary. Like, we're ready. Like, literally, if Miss Popgun comes into the room in the next 5 minutes and says we need to go, we're already packed and ready to go. The house has been prepared long in advance. We're ready. It's just, we just need some distractions to get through this week. And writing this episode of the podcast and talking to you guys today, this serves as my distraction. How are we going to get through Tuesday through Sunday? I don't know. we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I I need this podcast today more than you guys do. And we got some great topics to talk about, so it's actually going to be pretty exciting. The podcast will go on. I am going to be taking I'm assuming a month off from doing everything related to Splatoon, TOing, raising a newborn from all of the classes we've taken. Makes me think all of my being is going to be focused on baby stuff. So there's going to be no time, and I don't even know. Quite honestly, I don't even know who I'm going to be a week from now. That's what's kind of sinking into my mind. Is like my entire mentality on life is going to change, or maybe it's not. I don't know. We'll find out. But I'm not going to be here doing the Popcast next week or for the foreseeable month or so. I don't know. The Popcast is going to go on, though. I already have 3 guest hosts lined up, and we'll be sharing some information about them later. The rest of this week is going to be me getting those people into a little private chat and start okay, here's how we do some stuff. Here's what I would like for you to do. I want it to be somewhat similar, but I also want the people running their thing to do whatever it is that they want. Now, if you would still like to be a part and host an episode, there's still going to be slots. It's not going to be every single week that we're going to do an episode. But if there's something passionate going on here and you guys want to talk about it and you want to come on here, hit me up. I might say no. I might say send me a video of what you would talk about and as a test run to see if it's going to be entertaining or not. But the Popcast is your guys' show. The only reason this thing is somewhat popular is still in existence 187 episodes in is because of the idiots in chat. So this is your show. I just so happen to be the one who does everything to make it work, but we're looking forward to the future here. Exciting times. News of tournaments may be of interest to the casual listener to the podcast. SAC qualifier number 4 is this upcoming Saturday. Is the final qualifier for the top 12 grand final tournament that's going to take place at some point in the future. I already predicted who the teams that are going to qualify for the top 12 are going to be, 3 episodes ago, whenever the last SAC qualifier ended. It's been a while because they had the Dodge, Low Ink, and other stuff. So final qualifier is this Saturday. Make sure you sign up for it and participate in it. The SoCal LAN, Southern California LAN, is going to take place this weekend as well. The Arizona LAN took place yesterday. I had no idea it was going on until I saw tweets that it was live. So I don't have anything to say about it, but congratulations to Arizona. New York, Arizona, California, all getting their LANs. When you guys were like, when is Montana going to get a LAN? Well, when one of y'all get off your ass and make it happen. The people in California, Arizona, and New York, they got off their ass and they made it happen. So if you want to LAN in your area, put in the work. Several other states have shown you can be successful with it. California's doing it back to back every single month. Give it on them a little bit of shout out. Today we're going to be recapping the biggest Low Ink ever. Again. And the funnest, the bestest, most wonderful Low Ink to ever grace this earth. And since I'm not going to be a part of the next Low Ink, it's the best there will ever be. It's all downhill from here. Doom and gloom is coming, unfortunately for all of you. But we're going to be recapping Low Ink today. Almost the same as I would every single time. I don't want to do a 5-hour episode, but we're going to get through this one today in hopefully about an hour, maybe hour 15 minutes. So all that and more. But first, one of my favorite things to do on Saturday night after the Swiss stage of Low is to just go onto Twitter, type in the words Low Ink and search it, and see the tweet after tweet after tweet after tweet of teams posting their drip picks and their excitement. We went 1-5. We're so proud of ourselves getting the one win. Here's our results below. And you feel good about that, honestly, because if people feel good about anything they did in Low Ink, that makes you, the TO, one of the people who created it, feel good. There's so many people that feel good, regardless of what you might think of their result. They feel really good about their result and they want to share it with the world. So I try to go through Twitter to find all of those and give them likes and support because we're happy for them. But you also see a lot of, when you just type in Low Ink and search on Twitter, you see a lot of other bizarre tweets every now and then. Sometimes you see people complaining about their copier at work not having any ink in it. And it's like, oh, that sucks. Sucks for you. My favorite tweet out of all of them on Saturday night was somebody asking if making Div 5, or if you make alpha bracket of Low Ink, does that mean you're Div 5? And, well, no, it doesn't. You know how to get Div 5? You get Div 5 by playing in Ludi. That's the only way to do it. There's no ipso facto, I place this in this tournament, that means I'm that in that tournament. No, that's not how that works. But it's understandable that people would have that mindset, because for the longest time in this community, we've been coming up with div estimates and making fake divs and coming up with other stupid ways that make no sense to judge our own skill level, because we're constantly looking for ways to compare ourselves to each other and come up with what our true skill level in the community is. This is not a new issue. I was talking about this the first time I talked about topics like this was episode number 13 of the Popcast. Back during the pandemic, I hadn't grown a beard yet. I had some of my dignity still left, I would like to think, and it was 2020. So this is not a new thing. And that was just the first time I pointed it out. It's been pointed out long before then as well. It is not just divs that are kind of out of whack. You got players that can win a weekly. You can win SOS and still not get voted into a plus server. So even on the individual level, finding out how good you truly are, if you want to use the plus servers as a way to make that an indicator, even that's a little bit funky. And these have been issues I've been talking about several times on the Popcast, and several other people has pointed it out as well. We all acknowledge that it's a problem. We don't know how to fix it. And I've always said, even though I don't know how to fix it, we still need to acknowledge the problem, because just by continuing to do estimates and all of these other things, we're never going to start sitting down and thinking like, okay, what's a way that we can come up with this? What's the solution here? There's never been a true solution to this problem until now. As I woke up on Saturday, rubbed my little pop gun eyes, got my coffee, looked out the window, the clouds, they opened up. An array of sunshine shot through straight into my heart and went directly onto my phone. I looked at this tweet and my heart exploded with joy. And I went to my wife and I said, I now know what true happiness is. And she was like, what are you talking about? I was like, look, just look at this. Just look at this. This tweet from Sendou. Here is what I've been cooking up for the past couple of, for however long. Sendou Q is coming back. It's got a skill division system, $750 prize pool, major based off of players that qualify for it, seasonal leaderboards, and if you get into a certain level of the thing, you can get automatically put into the Plus servers instead of having to be voted in by a bunch of people who I'm convinced don't actually play the video game anymore anyways. I'm going to go tweet by tweet here. I don't want to misinterpret anything. I don't want to misquote anything here. We're going directly to the source. Bear with me. Quote, Sendou Q is a team ranking system. You can join by yourself or with 1 to 3 mates. You like other groups till you have a full group and get a match going. If those of you who played in the old Sendou Q back in, I didn't realize it was this long ago, February 2021, looks pretty similar to this. Currently, there's no good ranking system in our community. It's true. The best we have is using Ludi divisions, but everyone agrees that this is suboptimal to say the least. It's problematic as it could be hard to gauge your progress or to get people close to your skill level to play with. This new system has 7 tiers: Iron, Bronze, Silver, Platinum, Diamond, and Leviathan. Also, each tier is divided into 2. For example, Gold Plus means you're a gold tier, but you're in the top 50% of it. Both teams and players playing in Sendou Q and or tournaments on Sendou Inc. get assigned a rank. Keep that in mind. We'll go back and refer to it later. Teams who finish the season in the Leviathan rank, which is the top 5%, get invited to the Sendou Inc. season finale tournament event. Splat Zone's only major tournament with a $750 prize pool. The ranking well in the player leaderboard will gain access to +1, +2, or +3. The top 10 without access and +1 get in, top 20 and 2 get in, and top 20 get into 3. Note, so now says here, if you don't already have access, the top 30 people who don't have access have to get voted in. Now, one of the tweets a little bit down the line also say the voting percentage, if you want to get voted in, that number is going to increase to some other number. So it's not going to be just a bloatingness of the Plus servers. It's going to be harder for people to get voted in and easier for people with results to get in, which makes sense. Well, how about that? You know, when you guys were talking last week about patch notes that were coming out, I thought you guys were talking about Nintendo, like the actual Splatoon patch notes. And no, instead on Saturday, we got patch notes for the whole damn community. It was pretty good. That was a pretty good community-wide update that we got right there. I am all in favor of that. This is a wonderful thing that Sendou has created, and all the praise that Sendou has gotten and will get for this is 100% deserved. This is going to be a fantastic thing. On paper, there's just one teeny tiny little problem that we might be overlooking, and we're going to realize a couple of seasons into this thing, though. The success of this thing is going to be dependent upon the Splatoon competitive community. And that is where we are going to screw the pooch. This is not a good thing. It depends on us how we can interact with this thing. When you stop and think about it, we finally have the infrastructure, but now it's the idiots that run this community, that play in these tournaments, that bicker with each other on Twitter about everything. Now it's up to them to do something with it. Uh-oh. That's a problem. Now, initially, Season 0 and Season 1, I predict are going to be awesome. The true test for this thing is going to be Season 2 and Season 3. When I feel the vast majority of people are going to fall off here. Now, one of the goals this thing is trying to accomplish is creating a ranking system for the entire community. In order for that to work, you need the entire community involved. You need everybody participating in this thing. That's why everybody uses Ludi as the example of a false ranking for the entire community. It makes sense to gravitate towards that because everybody plays in it. When it gets 400 teams signing up for that event, it makes perfect sense why we look at that as like, this is a scope of what the entire community is about. So if you want to do that, you need everybody's participation into this thing. Well, there's incentives for everybody to play into this thing, right? Let's talk about that real quick. Will the same number of people participate in this that will play in Ludi? No. 100? Hell no. Of course not. One of the main draws for Ludi to participate in it, other than those of you who sign up just to get a div and then disband as soon as you don't get the div that you're looking for, is to play in the actual Ludi tournament. You know, by signing up in Ludi, in theory, the seeding council is going to put you in a group with other teams that are as close to your skill level as they can try to get. So it's a fun environment for you to play in. You might get curb stomped one week. The next week you might curb stomp your opponent, but then you might also find those several matches that go to a game 8 or a game 9 or a game 7, or you could be several of those groups where every single one of your matches was an absolute dogfight, and every match went to a game 8 or a game 9. Ludi has the appeal of playing teams around your skill level constantly. Sendou Q is going to be more of like a ladder. It's probably going to be a little bit better than those of you who remember the 2021 Sendou Q. But here's what I definitely remember. Low level didn't play in Sendou Q the last time. They didn't show up. They might have played a couple of times, but as soon as they got a little bit of taste of it, they bounced. Now, I get Sendou Q last time was just a beta. It was never meant to hang around. But after the first week or so, that thing fell off pretty quickly. And it's because nobody in low level was wanting to touch it after they got the first taste of it. The success of this thing is going to be decided by how much low level participates in this one. Otherwise, let's say low level doesn't show up and participate this, and you got all those different skill categories, iron, bronze, gold, silver, all that stuff. Somebody has to fill out the bottom. Somebody has to be Div 11, right? Well, if none of the low levels shows up to fill out those Div 11, who's going to be at the bottom? Who's going to be seated as the bottom people? It's going to be all those players in +3 that have very fragile egos and probably don't even play the video game anymore anyways, that are going to get exposed when they play Sendou Q, and now all of a sudden they're at the bottom of this thing and they're going to stop playing, and then it just falls apart. So you need low level to fill this thing up to get a true representation of where everybody should be based on their playing. And I'm not convinced low level is going to be coming out for this. I see Sendou's tweet in the Q&A session where it says right here, is this lower level too? Yes, I think players of any level benefit from playing with people closer on level. The system is meant to be for everyone. And that is, that's a good, I appreciate that. And I think low level appreciates that as well, but that's not going to work. Low level isn't oh, well, it's everyone. Here's the thing about low level. They don't like things that are for everyone. They like things that are for them. The same thing with the players that are banned from low inc. The same things with the players that are in whatever the hell you consider high level to be. This making a one size fits all for everyone can work. The problem is the Splatoon community is so segregated based off of skill levels that everybody's in their own thing. So can we get, let's just pretend mid-level's an actual thing, just for the sake of argument here. Let's pretend that we can get low level, mid-level, and high level all on the same page. This is going to work out. Those three groups are so far apart from each other, in so many different categories that I don't think it's going to. Let's start with low level, or let's start with high level and how they view things. I'm going to blow your guys' mind. If you consider yourself to be a high level player, what I'm going to say is not going to register with you. You're not going to comprehend what I'm going to say here. I promise you. Check this out. Low level is way, way, way bigger than you. Infinitely bigger than you. Just by judging off of who played in this past low ink, for every player in +3, there are 10 players that played in this past low ink. Low level is literally 10 times bigger than +3. This is why whenever somebody puts something up on Twitter, let's have a Twitter poll about something important in this community. You might as well just go directly to me, Brush, and JPEG, and Hoenn and be like, what is low level going to say? Because low level decides everything. If it's a majority rules, low level has an infinite army that dwarfs. Low level is bigger than mid level and high level combined. It's not even close. Here's another thing you got to kind of understand. The vast majority of people that outnumber all of you combined, their mentality with this video game does not match yours at all. They don't share that same kind of mentality of, I'm going to grind and invest every free time I have into scrimming and VOD reviewing and getting better because I want to be the very best like no one ever was. And I know several of you who think in this mindset of being a killer and doing everything you can to eventually beat Starburst. When you hear that people play this game competitively without investing 100% of their soul into it, you're giving me the Pikachu face. I know you are. But that is reality. There are several teams in low ink that are grinding their guts out because they want to get banned from the tournament. On the flip side, there's the other 90% of the teams that play in low ink that are just there because it's fun. They enjoy it. They know that they can go into an environment and they're going to find some teams around their skill levels. They're going to find their friends and they're going to eventually grow on their own pace. And I know some people are going to be like, well, that's loser mentality. You don't want to be the best. You're a complete loser. Okay, let me give you guys a little bit of a news flash. Not everybody lives in an anime world. Some of us live in the real world where people are giving that killer instinct to their jobs, their careers, their relationships, their school, their kids. And sometimes it's hard to give that killer instinct to everything that's actually important in life and then not save when it comes to giving something into the competitive scene. Well, let me just give just enough to where I enjoy it, to have fun, to where I'm better than everybody that plays in solo queue because my solo queue teammates suck and that's not fun. But play with my friends in a tournament like low ink that's structured and built around me and there's thousands of other people here that are just like me. Yeah, I'm fun. I'm all for that. So I totally understand both sides, right? But they're so far apart from each other, it gets in the way of things. And it caused a little bit of divide. High level doesn't understand that low level mentality. And I don't blame them. If you are a high level player, you're white, you are different. I will go on the record and say you are a different kind of animal. And you are really damn good at this video game. You're really good. Like 0.001% good out of everybody that purchases the game. So of course, you don't get to that point without thinking about the game differently than having a different mentality than somebody else. I completely understand that. But if you are trying to entice low level to do one of your events, to play in something for you that would help your event grow, and you don't understand your target audience, they're not going to show up. They're not going to respond to it. They don't just say, oh, well, you said this is good for me, I'm going to show up for it. No, that's not how any event works. Sendou, any other tournament, whatever. Except for Proving Grounds. I literally trying to get low level to stop signing up for Proving Grounds. You guys keep coming out in droves. I don't understand. Leave me alone, guys. Damn. So there you go. The different mentalities of those things. Now, why is low level not playing in Sendou Q? A couple of reasons. And some of you might remember this last time that Sendou Q was going on. I had to go back and listen to the episode I talked about this. I believe it was like 112 or something like that. And I remember a couple of these scenarios. People were coming after low level for dodging people. Remember, you got into your group of 4 who you're going to play with, and then at first you could see who the other teams were that were ready. You could dodge all of them. You didn't have to play anybody. And then they started hiding the names. Well, you still saw the skill level. It was like, oh, these guys are 300 Sendou points above us. That's a quick 4-0 for them. That's not fun. And then it started hiding the skill level, and it was just said slightly better than you. My experience was if anybody was slightly better than your 4 players, they curb stomped you. You wanted somebody that was dead even with you. Those were the most fun. And it was very rare that you found somebody who's dead even. Well, if you're at the bottom and none of the other low level players are playing in that thing, every time you queue up with your friends, you're always playing somebody that is slightly to beyond slightly better than you every single time. And you know what happens? If you go up against those teams and you can make the argument, oh, well, playing people better than you makes you better. Yes, I've pounded my fist on the table in 100% support of that consistently. However, that only works if your opponent is taking it just as seriously as you are. If I go up against Starburst and they use their main weapons and they beat the dog crap out of me, that's good. That shows they're showing respect to me. They're not wasting their time. They're not memeing. They're actually exposing every single flaw that I have. I can VOD review that. I can be like, well, here's what I could do to make sure this game lasts 1 minute instead of 45 seconds the next time around. However, there was a team last Sendou Q that when they found out they were way better than their opponent, they would use quad charger and they would go on Twitter and brag about how badly they beat another team in Sendou Q using nothing but chargers. You know what that does? It's funny, but it also teaches that other team that you're an asshole and that they don't need to go play in Sendou Q anymore because low level has an alternative. If they don't like the way that high level treats them in these matches, they're just going to go back to Launch Point. They've had Launch Point for years now, and they have their own little community. They've had their own little space. They don't need Sendou Q. This isn't something they have to play in. They have Sendou Q at home, and it's probably maybe a little bit better than that. I don't know, but they've had Launch Point as part of MIT, and it's not. They're not being held hostage to this. And they don't have to sit there and get memed on because they recognize those kinds of things. Whew. Yes. The alpha beta level teams, they're going to push through it. They're going to get their butts kicked because they have that dog in them. They don't have the skill level yet, but they could find the way to continue to improve and advance their way through that. The other 170 teams that signed up for low ink, no, they're probably not going to be interested, which is going to cause issues there when the whole community's not playing in it because low level isn't showing up. Now, there is an insta-fix for this. There is a way to get every single low level, low ink, little squid league, minnow cup team playing in this Sendou thing. There is. If you went back, if I showed you back that tweet, one of the things Sendou said was, it's not just Sendou Q points that count towards your ranking, but tournaments that are played on the Sendou Q website that works out into their favor. So if you were to play, if Low Ink was on the Sendou Q website instead of Battlefy, and you played your matches in that, all those matches could somehow be calculated into your team's ranking. And you could rank up by playing in low ink, by playing in Little Squid League, by playing in Minnow Cup. So if every single tournament in this community came off of their respective platforms that they played in and they went to this one hub, all of a sudden, everything clicks and this entire thing works and it's perfect and it's all run by one guy at the top, and Sendou becomes the standalone god of the community. There is IPL, there is Dapple Productions, there is MIT, but we are all underneath the one real lord of Sendou at that point. Which begs the question, is IPL, Dapple Productions, or MIT going to move to Sendou.ing? I don't think, in all honesty, I don't think that's what Sendou wants. I haven't said a single thing to Sendou. I haven't asked any questions, but just judging by what I know, I don't think Sendou wants everybody to move to Sendou.ing. I say that because I know there's been no conversation with IPL. And I'm assuming none of the other orgs have got it as well, unless IPL's just being left out in the dark in this. So I'm assuming the only tournament's going to be on Sendou is the Indozone tournament and the Picnic tournament, which are both Sendou's things, which are both things low level doesn't play in anyways. And quite honestly, I'm not sitting here saying like I've had conversations with IPL. Oh, I mean, we've talked, but there's never been like a meeting of like what we would do with these things. There's no real incentive for some other org to move to Sendou, to move off of their website to go to Sendou. There's incentive for the community for all the orgs to do that, but there's no incentive for the actual orgs to go there. There's no benefit to do that. Low Ink and IPL are built around what we've created bot-wise to get information off of Battlefield, so it's a lot easier to verify all you guys for Low Ink. And Dapple Productions, well, they use Challenge because they hate all of you, but they've been using Challenge for so long, I don't see how this would make them decide to stop hating everybody and go with Sendou.ing. Same thing with probably the other orgs. So I don't know about that, but I don't think there's any incentive for everything to be in place. And again, if you do that, then it's all just underneath one umbrella, which is, that's a lot to put underneath one umbrella so quickly with no conversations that had at this point. Zero conversation has been had about this. So I'm just totally speculating that's even something that wants to take place. And that doesn't even put into the fact all the work that TOs for the respective orgs have done up to this point. All the production folks that we have behind the scenes at IPL that have put so much effort into running things specifically the way they've been run up to this point and building bots that work specifically with how we want to do things through Battlefield. I mean, damn, you guys want us to run the Low Ink help desk 24 hours a day during like you guys are in help desk at 4 a.m. asking questions you could have very easily looked up in the rules section. Like you guys want us to work nonstop on that. And my goodness, paddling pool does not take a week off. The people who run paddling pool are some of the hardest working and craziest people in this entire community. Every single Wednesday. Here, there's one guarantee. When global warming finally destroys us all, and we're in the apocalypse, when some form of human life comes back out millions years of later, they can still sign up for a paddling pool because I guarantee you paddling pool is still going to be running whatever that upcoming Wednesday is. That's how dedicated they are to that. TOs have been working their asses off in the communities and the things they already do regardless. To move so quickly, there's a lot of conversations to be had with that. Look, the problem is the community as a whole. There's obviously a lot of logistics I'm kind of bringing up right here that need to be fixed. But the number one issue is that the community as a whole won't get behind something like this because not everybody in this community is on board with each other. There's too much divide between skill caps. Low level and high level have clashing ideologies and don't understand each other. Low level looks at high level And they see them calling them pussies whenever they try to dodge practicing against teams that are going to curb stomp and meme on them. And then whenever low level speaks out about a high level player, what are they always met with in response on Twitter? Oh, you're div this. Oh, you're div 7. Oh, your skill level's not good enough to even speak to us. They see that, and that causes more and more divide. Oh, of course, you would have a take on this question because you're div 8. I looked at your bio. That just causes more separation. Meanwhile, high level doesn't understand the low level mentality and isn't really trying to understand them. They're just saying, you guys need to play in our events. You guys are too scared to play. Why is Low Inc. getting 200 teams, but my tournament's only getting 30? You guys are supposed to be playing in my events too. Do you not want to get better? Do you not want to get good at the game? That's loser mentality. These mindsets cause further divide. And meanwhile, stuck in the middle, in the fictitious mid-level, is a bunch of little fragile ego folks who feel neglected, who feel like they're not getting any attention to them. And just like any other middle child, they start acting out. They start saying these crazy random things on Twitter, and they start crying whenever there's a tournament that isn't built around this double elimination thing they love so much, because they get eliminated and 2 hours into the event and they're not playing in grand finals, which takes place 6 hours after the tournament started. So there's so many different issues with those three groups, and you need all three of them to work together if you want this Sendou thing to work. Now, none of this is Sendou's fault. Not a single one of these things is Sendou's fault. We needed a solution to these problems. Sendou has provided it. Sendou has given us the infrastructure to fix all these problems. The issue is, the only way this works is if Sendou can find a way to fix the soul of the community. And he's trying to do it by himself. It's not going to work out that way. But this is still a good thing. I am still 100% on board with this Sendou thing. Not so much to where I'm going to convince anybody from IPL to start moving Low Inc. over to Sendou's tournaments like that. But no, what I'm saying is, this divide that we've had with all these skill levels, this has been going on for years, and we've never addressed it. Well, now we've reached a point where we have no choice but to address it. We either solve the soul of this community and fix our own problems, or we don't get to go play at Sendou Land. Like, we either fix our family or we don't get to have the fun thing Sendou created for us. That is the issue that's being driven up here. When you look behind it, you're starting to realize we need to start fixing everything, because now we finally got the solution to it. And what a perfect time to go on paternity leave. I'm just going to leave you. I'm going to let you idiots in chat solve everything. I'm gone for a month. Highlighted messages. We'll get through that real quick. Little gravy bread. Whenever I see this is all for levels, everyone, it's always feeling like how low level considers it to be it's actually for mid, high, top level. They think they should try to play in it. Look, I don't think anyone likes being sold, and I feel like people not in low level try to sell things to low level a lot, and I feel like low level just doesn't buy it. Mainly because I feel like a lot of people in low level are older, which is why they're in low level. Their reflexes suck. Brush strokes. I don't know, Pop Gun. Low Inc. yesterday felt pre-anime world to me. Well, I like anime. I love anime. Anime world's nice, but it's not reality. Epic Pikachu. There's also the issue with players caring way too much about their SimIQ MMR. Well, okay, but if the SimIQ MMR actually holds value, then it makes sense to care about it. The problem is, and I'd rather have people care about SimIQ MMR if it's constructed in the right way, versus people putting in their Twitter bios, "Oh, I'm estimated Div 5 because I looked at a div somebody had a year ago and I beat them, so that must mean I'm a div above what they are." Because, yeah, I'm fine with people caring about Sendou QMMR if it's done correctly. Smiley face, who's going to take over Loink when you retire or stop? Brushstrokes is already doing that. Gus Platoon, trust me, Pop, can I fix everything? I have a way of fixing relationships. I can't trust you anymore, Gus. All you do is lie to us on Twitter. Excuse me, X. I just lied to you about what platform you use. Sam, I'm sorry, but I can't trust Gus. He's Div 5. That's true. That's true. Gus is Div 5. And hey, I'm still Div 2, baby. I haven't played Ludi in a while. I'm still Div 2, technically, if we're going by that. Oh, man. I still got a whole freaking Loink to get through. So let's shift gears here. If you still have takes about it, leave a highlighted message. I'll get to it. But just to keep things moving along, we're going to hop into the weekly recap. SOS number 116 took place on Wednesday. It was won by Syntopia. Grimace Shakers took second place in the Silly Legends of Grandma's Homemade Kamichi. Finished in third. I've noticed some more EU teams are playing in SOS as of late. Makes sense. More NA teams are playing in the Paddling Pool and Triton Cup while they're all off from school in the summertime, but Syntopia winning SOS in what I assume is like 5 in the morning for them, or 4 or something. It's pretty impressive. What does it say about the rest of North America, though? Hammerhead was won by Sakiyama, Japan. Mako Bracket was won by Crossfire, and Lantern Bracket was won by Marine Melody. Proving Grounds number 17 took place this past Friday before Loink. It was won by Moonlight. Tempest took second place, and In Control Red Sun rounds out your top 3. I got to commentate my own tournament for the first time. I've done like fill-in for people who had to like leave commentary or something early, but I actually got to commentate Proving Grounds, and I got to do it with Brush, and it was one of the most fun sessions that I've had commentating in a while. Brush is quickly becoming my favorite person to commentate with. When I do it with Falco, it's like me and him are just like two guys hanging out while their wives are out of town and we're just on vacation. When I do it with Brush, we just make fun of each other and just laugh at how stupid everything is, and it's enjoyable. And when I do it with Magic, it's just Magic's energy is just so crazy high that it just brings my energy up too, that where I can't sleep the next day. So those are my top 3 to do it with for sure, but I really enjoyed doing Proving Grounds. This is the first tournament that Moonlight has played in. Moonlight is a new team made up of Basil, Omega, Shadow, and SS Nolan. They look like a fun team. Now, I said at the end of Proving Grounds, they're not going to beat the top 3. Nobody's going to beat the top 3. And I'm not sitting here saying they're going to be number 4 or anything like that. I'm not buying stock in the Moonlight. I'm just saying they're going to be a fun team to watch going forward, because they're really fun to see as they beat Tempest in a bracket reset in Proving Ground 17. Squid Junction number 48 took place on Saturday night after Loink. Last Resort finished in first place. And naturally, you go from Last Resort to the second place team, which is 11-11 Make the Wish. That's quite a wide gap. How did we get from that? Third place was Half Send as well. Last Resort went totally undefeated. There was just nobody in this tournament that was at their level. But they didn't drop a single game and took care of business, winning Squid Junction number 48. The biggest result here is 11-11 Make a Wish going to the second place. They were seeded the number 25 in that tournament out of like 40 some odd teams. They weren't seeded incorrectly. That's the appropriate seed they would have got. They just outplayed their seed. Nobody believed in us. Yeah, well, we have information to go with. Nicely done, though, getting second place in that tournament. 11-11. I see you. Mode Cup number 3, the Tower Control edition, took place on Sunday. Jackpot is your winner from that. They beat Flippa Floppa. Robbie and Friends rounds out your top 3. This is the first time I can recall Flippa Floppa not actually winning the tournament that they signed up for. I don't know the exact roster that they had. It was going on at the same time as Lowing. Quite honestly, I didn't even know Mode Cup was going on yesterday until I saw Jackpot tweet out that it was already over. I was like, oh, I realized that. The real story here, Flippa Floppa didn't win. Jackpot looks really good. It's tower control only. Take it with a grain of salt. But it gives you the sense that maybe the next time there's a major in the West, maybe Jackpot or Starburst could actually win it. And we can have the West keep their own tournament at some point. It hasn't happened. It said a Super Jump won. Japan has won everything, or a pickup from Japan has won everything. So those players are getting closer. Jackpot, Starburst are getting close. Are they closing the gap with Japan? No. They're closing the gap with the players that are coming over to play in these events. And that was your weekly recap. Sponsored by the letter X. The letter X has about 1 billion different meanings, and it is quite possibly the worst letter you could use if you're going to brand something after just one letter. X, the official sponsor of today's segment of the weekly recap. Announce Super Jump 3 then and solves that debate. Maybe I will. I don't know. Do you have any inkling on when the next Ludi is? I started playing Splatoon near the beginning of Splat 3 and haven't gotten to play one yet. I do not. I am on the seating council for Ludi, but I'm not on staff for Ludi. They just say, hey, help us seed your teams, and I say okay. I don't make any of those decisions. Emil is the head person for that. I don't DM staff. Here's what I would do. I would go to Low Ink Help Desk and ask, and they will tell you we're not going to give you that information. So, but no, I don't even. I'm not hiding anything. I don't know when the next Ludi season is. Moonlight played in the Clan Blitz and EU tournaments under Hot Dog USA. Oh, I did not know that. How about that? You got X to sponsor. I did get X. You don't know what X means. Will you watch the community Low Ink? We still watch the community Low Ink from the side. Yeah, I'll still watch the thing. I mean, it's nothing to put on. We can put on Twitch. My wife is literally in our living room right now watching me on Twitch. It's nothing to put on the IPL. We're going to watch it. Hell yeah. Now watch whoever they got in to fill in for me for commentary and be like, no. Hello, friends. Welcome back. Come on. Consistency here. Jeez, this is going to be so long. Low Ink. So I'm not going to do the usual, here's a little 30-minute segment about Low Ink and then the winners. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over the winners, look at each bracket, and as there's something specific I wanted to say, I'll just spend a little bit more time talking about it. So let's get right into it. Here are my winners from the Swiss stage first of Low Ink. First off, going to get a shout out to Overtime. Overtime went 5-1 in this tournament, getting key wins against the Luckiest Ducks, Fractal, Blue Velvet, the Luminous Kelpies, and Lost Inklings. Nicely done, Overtime. You're usually a 4-2 team. You win Little Squid League. Now you're going 5-1. You're threatening to make Alpha Bracket. Overtime's now playing Big Boy Splatoon. It's not the cute, oh, hey, this is a good story. Overtime, no, it's okay. We're legit now. You're good. You got to go out and prove it every single month. They proved it this time around. Overtime's playing Big Boy Splatoon from now on. Just Squidding went 4-2 in this tournament, getting key wins over X, The C, Retro Radio, Lifeline, and Prismatic Ink. Just Squidding went 3-3 in May last time. This time around, just barely missing a spot in top 32. And when you have this many teams, 212 according to Battlefy, getting the top 32 of that is extremely difficult to do. They got enough wins to at least try to qualify for it. Retro Radio went 4-2 in this tournament, getting key wins over RR Remix, the RNG Nouveaux, the Cephalo Squad, and Magna Iris. Retro Radio lost in round 1 of Gamma Bracket, but returns this time around. We're going to be talking about Retro Radio a little bit later when we look at Gamma Bracket. Devour went 4-2 in this tournament, getting key wins over Metro, Black Ink, Ink and Destroy, and Critical Error. Had to really slow down for that one. Critical Error. This is a new team, Devour, going 4-2 into this tournament. They did, I believe, make top 32. We'll be taking a look at them a little bit later. Nicely done to them. Pink Lemonade, one of my favorite drinks when I was younger, went 4-2 in this tournament as well, getting wins over Borealis, the Star Seekers, Not So Shrimple, and the Ink Drinkers. Ink Drinkers, I highly recommend you stop drinking ink immediately, then go to the hospital, then instead of drinking ink, maybe drink some pink lemonade instead, because whatever pink lemonade sipping is working out for them. Seems to be a brand new team doing good in their first lowing. Legacy. Now here's normally I give out apologies. Here's my first apology I give out. My bad, Legacy. I didn't say anything about you guys, and y'all kicked some serious ass. 5-1 during the Swiss stage, getting key wins over Peer Pressure, Hallucination, Lullaby, White Siege, and on stream coming from behind in a game 3, they beat Shake to qualify for top 32. Now, something interesting happened during one of Legacy's matches. I believe the other team went to Help Desk and say, hey, something weird happened. Now, if you guys come to Help Desk and you show us a clip of something laggy going on, we're going to point at the lines and say, there are no lag rules, go away. But if a game-breaking glitch happens, we want to see it. Look at this. If you can't tell, because initially we looked at the screenshot, we had no idea what was going on here. But if you really pay attention, you figure it out. This team has cleared the checkpoint, and they got 52 points. This team did not clear the checkpoint, but they got 51. Now, I looked there. I did see a VOD from one of the players' point of view, and I got to see what happened, and it still doesn't really make sense, but somehow they died as they dunked the Rainmaker on the pedestal, and it didn't really give them credit for clearing the pedestal, even though they really did. So somehow they found a way to glitch past the pedestal. Look at the score. The score is even slightly to the left of where the pedestal is. That is so bizarre. Now, it didn't affect anything because the blue team went on to win the set at the end of it naturally, and they 3-0'd their opponent altogether. But still, this is weird. Kraken Mare came into the VC, and take this for what you will. I'm not a tech person. I don't know. Kraken Mare says the score is dictated by whoever is hosting. So maybe this is just a hosting issue. I don't know. But if something like this happens, bring it to Help Desk, because we might just say, hey, we're just going to let the game stand how it stands. But we want to see it, because this is really funny for us that the game just sucks this bad. Legacy wins anyways, regardless of glitches. Recovery went 4-2 in this tournament, and this is another team I owe an apology to. My bad. They got key wins over the Grisco Worker Unions, Sloppy Joe, the Whip Rays, and Zero Magnum. Oh man, Recovery. I should give you guys more credit. Recovery was placed in the group of death in top 32, which, by the way, top 32 is seeded directly based on where you finish in the Swiss stage. It just so happens that all the team names, that everybody knows got put into Group D. Surf and Turf, MyLag Paradise, and C Drive. And I saw Recovery in there. I was like, there's no way in hell Recovery makes it out of that group. And they still fell to Beta, but they beat their first opponent, which was MyLag, and they were up 1-0 over Surf and Turf. If they do win just one game over Surf and Turf, they're making Alpha Bracket. But Recovery, they got fed a monster schedule, and they almost escaped it. I see you. I got to give you more recognition going forward. Splabooey, the team I'm just talking about because I like their name. They went 3-3 in this tournament, getting key wins over the Deep Sea Dissonance, Phosphor, and the Octo Strike Squad. Keep going, Splabooey. At some point, we need Splabooey to win a bracket. They don't have to win low ink. We need them to just win one of these deltas or alps or epsilon or whatever kind of bracket, just so we can have Splabooey up in the Hall of Fame. They deserve to be up there with that name alone. Resurgence went 4-2 in this tournament, getting key wins over the Cephalopod Coalition, the Remnants, Hydra, and Pirate Pirates. Now, this is a newer-ish team made up of some players that have played it in low ink before. I don't really know what they're resurging from. Maybe just from not playing the game after a while, but nicely done, Resurgence. I see you. The Pond Duck Crew. Haven't seen these guys in a while, but they're back. Going 4-2 in this tournament, getting key wins over Forgotten, Hydra, Dangerous Deco, and Kit Kat, a chat favorite team just based off their name alone. This was the first tournament we've seen the Pond Duck Crew play in since March, and March seems like such a long time ago. It's only 4 months. It's good to see the Pond Duck Crew make their triumphant return going 4-2. Last Wish. I owe you guys an apology as well. You went 5-1 in this tournament. You got key wins against Stinky, Rainfall, Half Point, and Blue Raz. I feel like Last Wish is a team that everyone's been hyping up, but I've never seen them get that kind of result to make me go, oh, okay, this is why everybody's hyping them up. They did it in this time around, and I'm now on board. I'm now convinced, Last Wish. My apologies. Zest Fest, a former LSL champion, much like Overtime, went 4-2 this time around, getting key wins against Hazard Level Minimal, Stinky, and Palagindio. Okay. We always keep an eye on teams when they win Little Squid League and Zest Fest with a zesty name like that. We're going to acknowledge them when they go 4-2. Maybe knock on the door, getting top 32 next time. Get Your Money Up. This is a team that went 6-0 in this tournament, getting key wins over Moonslice, Dooble Booble, Edna E Mode, Ink Black, MyLag Paradise, and ASE Shrew. Get Your Money Up had to drop Sunday after going 6-0 on Saturday. Why did they have to drop? Because they needed a third sub, and we wouldn't give it to them. The most subs that you can get in low ink is 2. If you guys need 3 subs, at that point, you're not even the same team. You're a brand new team if you need 3 new people during the course of the tournament. So we didn't give it to them, so they had to drop on Sunday, unfortunately. They probably would have done really good, but still going to give them recognition for what they accomplished on Saturday, going 6-0. The biggest winner from the Saturday stage, as far as I'm concerned, give me Blue Velvet, who went 5-1 in this tournament, getting key wins over the Low Ink Tear God, Moonrise, the Splatville Idol Group, Determination, and Remnants. This team is a LSL team played at LSL number 30. And instead, Blue Velvet said, nah, we're going to go 5-1 and flex our muscles here. Nicely done, Blue Velvet. I see you. Blue Velvet, make that little boy smile. Highlighted messages. We're moving on. Where I scroll. My team had to go on the pedestal 3 times. That's, yeah. By the way, I forget the name. There was somebody I discovered yesterday who has a pretty decent following on there. A large following. Who's the player on Legacy that was streaming. It also makes YouTube. I want to plug that player, but I just discovered them yesterday, and I completely forgot their name. Actually, I'm just going to look it up right now because here it is. The player's name is Zorkonic. Zorkonic's point of view. Yes, thank you. Zorkonic is the one that I saw. They did like a little, here's my breakdown of my thoughts of how I played, and I saw that perspective, and I was like, oh, that's the glitchy game. Okay. I'm glad you guys won naturally, and we didn't have to step in and make some kind of stupid ruling that would have brought down the event for sure. Let's look at the brackets. Let's look at the brackets. Starting with Epsilon, and we're going to work our way down. If you want a Zeta bracket, I believe we need 192 teams at the end of Saturday after drops and all that stuff. I think we ended up around the 170, 180 mark, so we weren't close to having a Zeta, but maybe someday we will. The teams I want to point out here in the Epsilon bracket is Fatal Parliament starting off. As you see, Fatal Parliament got a couple of wins here, a couple of Game 5, Game 3 wins. Some tough teams before they ultimately got knocked out. Actually, no, they didn't get knocked out. Why did I put them first? They won the whole damn thing. Okay, Fatal Parliament, your winner. We'll go back to Fatal Parliament. I wrote this while I was thinking about other things. I should have gone in reverse order. First, let's start off with Chaos Faction. That's the team we want to talk about here. We like it when teams make deep loser runs. Chaos Faction did a pretty decent job of this here, getting one win against Prismatic Inc., then beat Scarlet Fizzy and Phosphor. If you're wondering who Chaotic Faction is, you're going to hear me say this a lot over these last couple of 3 brackets. This is tough. This is brand new players, brand new teams to some extent. Maybe not brand new players, but at least brand new teams we don't have a lot of information on as far as past tournament results is concerned. Chaos Faction being one of them, but you got to note when they do something impressive like they did here. Lost Inklings is the team that finished in second place. We got to give them a little bit of a shout out. Going in there from the winner's side, so they just got bracket reset. They didn't play Fatal Parliament before, no, so they just kind of just had a little bit of a break and just ran up into a tougher opponent. Lost Inklings, we know they're capable of making top 32. We know they have higher aspirations of the bracket, but again, there's just not enough room for all the teams that signed up. Like it's just more teams that sign up just make it more congested to find ways to fit in. So Lost Inklings just falling all the way down to Epsilon is unfortunate, but Fatal Parliament obviously playing a little bit better there. Cuttlefish Battalion. It's a little bit of recognition here because they did pretty good down in losers bracket, getting 1, 2, 3. And a lot of these wins, or a couple of these wins, coming in a decisive Game 3 as well. So clutching it out before they couldn't clutch it out against Fatal Parliament. Again, Cuttlefish Battalion, another newish team coming out in this one. Forgotten is another team I want to talk about. Who? Forgotten is the team that gets third place, pushed Fatal Parliament to a Game 5 in a best of 5 third place match after already beating them in round 3. So Forgotten showing they're just as strong as anybody else in this one. I don't have any info on Forgotten. Quite honestly, ain't got nothing to say about them. But who could forget them now after what they've done? Fatal Parliament, they made Epsilon bracket in May. I believe that was the last time that they played. And coming back, getting Epsilon bracket again, a tougher Epsilon bracket, and winning it is nice improvement for them. And that's really all I got to say about them. Hopefully their fatality, a Fatal Parliament, might not be the best way to govern things. We Lost Inklings had a really unfortunate matchup in day 1, and we underperformed. Ended up almost getting top 32. Almost, yeah. It sucks. I mean, you could argue we probably could have found a way to get a Zeta in there, just because there's a lot of strong teams that didn't even qualify for top 30 for Sunday that probably could have. We're looking at Delta bracket real quick, and there's a lot of new stuff here. First off, the team Well, actually, no. There's only like a couple of new teams here. We'll get the new teams out first. First thing, the team that won all of it, Omnis, did not lose a single one. Conductor Cap Incorporated played them 10 times. Omnis won 6 of them. Nobody else really challenged them all the way through. Who is Omnis? I don't know. It seems like this is baby's first low ink, honestly, just by looking back over them again before going on this podcast. Don't know anything about Ominous, but they beat a lot of notable teams along the way here. Fallen Ravens, I've talked about them a lot. I mentioned them as being a team that could grow, that has been growing pretty consistently. They beat them. Conductor Cap Incorporated, they're a top 10 team. They deserve to be a top 10 team. Ominous beat them twice in a best of 5 in a game 5. So, Ominous, welcome. It's not baby's first low ink anymore. Not when you win Delta bracket like this. The other teams here, we got to talk about Conductor Cap Incorporated. I say this all the time. Clearly, this is not the bracket that they wanted to play in, but I like that they still played it anyways. They got a lot of value out of this. Fallen Ravens, they played a lot of best of 5. They beat Fallen Ravens. They couldn't beat the other ones. The experience they gained in this bracket is going to pay off for them down the road. Conductor Cap Incorporated. So I'm good for playing, but I feel like they got higher aspirations. All aboard! Fallen Ravens, I briefly mentioned them, but they had a deep losers run. In fact, the rest of the teams I want to talk about here are Jelly Squids and Fallen Ravens, because they renamed losers bracket the Jelly Squids Fallen Ravens bracket. Once they fell down here, they just destroyed everybody until they collided with each other, and of course it would be a best of 3 that would go to a game 3 between these two squads. Again, Jelly Squids, I put them in my top 10. They had a tough lineup of teams they had to go up against, but hey, them's the breaks, as they say. We got to whittle down teams somehow. And the Jelly Squids still played all the way out through Delta bracket. And Fallen Ravens getting a little bit of the better end of them there. But still, good. Again, more experience. That's why we do these lower brackets, to give everybody more experience here that really pays off down the in tournaments down the road. High Tide Rush is the other team I want to mention here. They got a couple wins on the winner side of the bracket before losing to Conductor Cap Incorporated, and Fallen Ravens knocked them out. I believe this is legit High Tide's Rush first tournament, period, unless I just didn't really look too deep into them. But from what I can see, first legit tournament. And they did this for a first legit tournament. This is a really good result. This is a really good result. There are literally hundreds of teams that would kill to have the result that High Tide Rush did in their first event. So nicely done to them. Gamma bracket. Zoom in here. First off, I talked about Retro Radio as one of the teams that did a good job on Saturday. They did a good job on Sunday as well here in the Gamma bracket. They didn't drop a single game until Devour 3 owed them. And then, okay, so they didn't drop a single game until they did nothing but lose. Devour 3 owed them, and then Haffer Milch with a period at the end of their name 3 owed them as well. But still, Retro Radio, a strong run for them. Like I said, they lost round 1 of Gamma bracket last month. Now they're getting top 3. So, proof, placement improvement. So that's got to stand for something, right? The Origami Dragons, this has probably been like the 20th time I've talked about them, and I'm glad they're consistently showing up here in these higher brackets. Gamma bracket used to be like, oh man, I'm in Gamma bracket. Now Gamma bracket's like incredibly good to qualify for, and Origami Dragons are consistently getting it here. Pond Duck Crew they beat, and then made a little bit of a loser's run here. Biscuits in Arcadia before the team that finished in first. In fact, the team that finished first and third are the only teams that beat the Origami Dragons in Gamma bracket. So I'm glad to see continued growth coming out of that squad. Just Squidding deserves a little bit of recognition here as well. I talked about them a little bit earlier. They lost round 1, and then they made the loser's run of Gamma bracket. Honda Squiddick, everybody's favorite. Honda Squiddick, they swept them 2-0. Arctic Blitz, Shake, and Zest Fest. So a nice run here from just Squidding, having a good Saturday and a great Sunday, combining it with overall a good weekend for a team that's not going to walk out with hardware. It doesn't matter. They're walking out with a great experience and something they can build off of. I don't know anything about the team that won this one. Hafermilch, I believe they're a mix of some players from EU who've played in low ink before, but I don't even know what that word means. And I feel like the more I say it, the more I'm going to get flamed for mispronouncing thing. Devour, with Devour right here. Look how strong Devour was playing, and they beat this team in a best of 5 earlier. Actually, they played a bunch of best of 5s, honestly. I feel like just by not looking at this match, I feel like Devour might have just run out of gas. I feel like maybe after sweeping Retro Radio and then having that break, this is the downside, the double limb you guys love so much. You win the winner's side, you're cursed by just going here and sitting for like an hour. I wonder if they just misplayed how they said this outer, because the score does not show how competitive the first round between these two teams went to a best of 5. But you also got a team that's just winning several rounds in losers bracket and building up a lot of momentum, not losing a single game. After this team, Hafermilch, won or lost and fell to losers bracket, they didn't lose a single game. 2, 4, 7, 10. They won 13 straight games to close out Gamma bracket. Dang. Nicely done there. Beta, I believe we only had one team drop. Well, no, the Get Your Money Up was forced to drop because they didn't have enough subs here. Quickly, we'll talk about Beta. I feel like My Lag Paradise justified themselves. They had a strong SAC, and it made us believe in them again, and they usually let us down. I feel like winning Beta bracket in a low ink like this is very impressive, especially against a tough Last Wish team who I said I haven't been giving enough respect to. Both these teams earned their respect that they should be getting from now on by how they played all the way through this Beta bracket. The other team I'll talk about, the Joke Subbers. They're the team that won Beta bracket last month. So they're getting consistent results here. They're just not showing up and taking care of business in the top 32 stage, or their groups are just too tough, but still consistent deep runs. If Joke Raiders or Joke Subbers actually makes alpha bracket, I feel like they're going to do really well in that, just based off how they consistently do in Beta. They got the experience to do it. There's some highlighted messages we'll get to before we hop in the alpha. Only like 37% of teams made a bracket. Pretty sure that is crazy. Okay, so the problem is if you get to a certain point, we want it somewhere around 50% of our teams making it. But it's just like at some point there's going to be the fall off before like the other ones go in. And it's you're probably doing your calculations based off of how many teams signed up at the beginning, that 212. Are you doing that 37% off of that or off of the final number? Yeah, you can't do it off the 212. If we did off the 212, we would have a Zeta bracket. But we do it based off of how many teams are left at the end of Saturday. Otherwise, you're going to get a bunch of teams who you're okay. Now, too many teams are qualifying for Sunday. So what? 80 teams played on Sunday across those two brackets. So it should be like 48% or something like that played on Sunday for real. Okay. There's a lot to talk about with Alpha Bracket. I haven't even mentioned one of the greatest grand finals of all time yet. First off, the two misses that I have. Distinct. I think the problem with Distinct is their name is boring, but their gameplay is anything but that. My bad, Distinct. You should have been a top 10 level team. 100%. Well, I mean, I don't know, should have been. You should be going forward. And I know I say that and then I'm going to leave you guys off 2 months from now when I don't come back, but maybe the person I have doing the low ink preview during my paternity leave will remember to put you guys in the top 10. My bad. The other team, I believe, Revelation as well. A lot of people were high on Revelations, and well, they just kind of ran into the number one. The community and everyone's picked to be the team that win the tournament, Surf and Turf. They just ran into the monster, but they beat Royal Succulents in a best of 5. Probably one of the best non-grand final matches of the Alpha Bracket run, actually, other than the one that we didn't see on stream. Surf and Turf, let's talk about them. They lived up to the hype. This is the best. Surf and Turf, I don't think, has ever made it out of round 1 of Alpha Bracket. And the community and me named them the number 1 favorite to win the tournament. They didn't disappoint. Being named the number 1 team and having all that pressure on you, having all the targets on you, and you make top 4, that's a dub. That is a massive dub. It shows that Surf and Turf, the adjustments they've been making, is working. They faced a lot of adversity during this tournament. They got fed into the group of death. They barely escaped it. They beat the Galaxy Squids team, which is another team I'm not giving enough credit to, but the community got them. This was the community's number 2 team. And they only lost, they lost the Project Blank, but they got knocked out by the team that won the whole thing. So nicely done, Surf and Turf. There's nothing to feel bad about right there. And I don't think they feel bad at all. I don't. It's just, I think they lived up to the hype. I think they surpassed the hype with how they played. C10. This was the team that everybody on Twitter... Now, there's one team every single month where the detectives are like, these guys, it's them. They're cheating. Why would they let them in? Do they not see? Guys, I'm here to tell you, yes, we look at the tournaments that you play in IPL. Of all the information we look at on you, it just so happens SOS is one of the events we look at. The one thing I'll say, and if you guys have paid attention to anything I say on the Popcast, you know I say this consistently. Placements hide results. Making Great White Bracket does not ban you from low ink. Beating the right kind of teams to make it a Great White can, but just qualifying for Great White, we've had Great White players play in low ink all the time. It doesn't really matter. Who you beat is more important. And I'm not sitting here like dogging C10 or anything like that, but the amount of people that were claiming they should have been banned from low ink, okay, they're not. It was weird because C10, who played fantastic, by the way, everyone's so fixated on C10, nobody said anything about 8K Ping. Nobody was like, whoa, what happened here? Because 8K Ping went 6-0 in their group. Actually, they went 18-0 per game in their group, and they had the toughest opponent win percentage in their group, meaning they played the toughest schedule out of anybody in their group, and they didn't drop a single game, and nobody had any suspicions about that. Nobody raised the, whoa, what happened here? No, everybody was fixated on the wrong team, or more so, 8K Ping. Now, behind the scenes, I tell you guys, we do extra level of verification every single after Saturday with anything that's weird. 8K Ping, they barely won from the Ink Up back in June. They beat Scarlet, I want to say Scarlet Fizzy, not Scarlet Ink, in a best of 5. I went to a game 5. And when I saw that they destroyed their Swiss group, I was like, okay, we got to look into him again. We looked at him again. It was like, okay, this is legit. There's nothing here. These are all the same exact players. They're just that good. They played in some Squid Junctions. They sucked in them. Like they did everything you would be like, if we verified them 100 times, we would come to the same exact conclusion. They're like, yeah, they're good for low ink. They just had a great run. And that Psycho player, it's not just Psycho. I focus so much on Psycho because they made the sexy plays with the hammer. But it was the whole team as a whole that was just going nuts with everything that they were doing there. And they deserve to win this. This set was just a classic. And Cubata 2 Euros just kind of ran. I don't want to say ran out of gas, but when you get in those high-pressure moments, best game 7, and it's like, okay, we have to make the play to win. They just made the wrong play, and pressure probably played into that, and it just came down to who was holding control and going into overtime. I believe is what Brush said, and Brush was correct. You can clip that. I just said that out loud. For Cubata 2 Euros, though, it's the second month in a row they went deep into a low ink, and they had a 2-game lead, and they let the other team come back on them. That's 2 months in a row. They're good enough to win low ink. They've proven that consistently. They're extremely good. They just, when push comes to shove, the other team just outshines the moment. I still don't understand how they don't win that Game 6 Splat Zones Hagglefish on paper. It's just their 2 inkjets weren't being consistent, whereas the 1 inkjet that 8K Ping had was just dominating over and over again and just opening the door for Psycho to do the Psycho things. Cubata 2 Euros, fantastic team. They just ran into they just got to stare into the abyss and not blink the next time that they do it. It's easier said than done. Also, shout out to the team that got 3rd place here, Project Blank, who they were a fun team to commentate in the C10 match after losing the first game. Project Blank gets the award for being the first team ever to take so long during a counter pick that they actually lost their counter pick. Once you take up there's no like set amount the rules might say like a minute, but like we're gonna give you guys some grace period. But when you just say nothing in chat for several minutes, I'm gonna give you you got 1 minute to give a pick, and if you don't, we're giving it to the other team. C10 gave the pick. C10 won a game and then got to pick game 2, and Project Blank said, we don't care, we're gonna beat you over and over and over again. They beat them on C10's. Project Blank is the first team in best of 5 history to beat their opponent on 3 of the opponent's own counter picks. There's no other way to do it. So they make history right there. Their Carbon player was fun to see. I like that they used the Hydra for 1 game. And nicely done to them. But goes out to 8K Ping. Congrats to winning. It sucks, again, just another team that we barely get to know or to hype up, because they win and then they're gone and we never get to see them again. But they played Squid Junction. They can't play in From the Ink Up anymore, but we'll see them around. And yeah, that's all I got. So there we go. That is the end of 187th episode of the Popcast. This is the last time I'm going to be on camera for a good chunk of time. Kid is going to be born at this time next week, and we got other things to do. In the meantime, stay out of trouble, guys. Enjoy life, and try not to get too discouraged with the fact that Twitter is a dumpster fire, as it always is. In the meantime, I usually say if you'd like to be a part of the podcast, reach out to me. I will say this. If you want to reach out to me for anything related, do it this week. I need distractions. I need something else to put my mind on. After this week, if you reach out to me, I'm probably not going to respond to you at all. So if you DM me a question during the next Low Ink and I don't respond to you, I've given you enough warnings not to do it. So for this week only, if you'd like to be a part of the podcast, feel free to send me a message using my socials below. Twitter or X at Mr._Popgun, Discord at Popgun, YouTube at 25 Popgun, Twitch at Popgun25, Anchor.fm/Popgun. Man, I need a vacation from doing this. Who's streaming right now that we can go raid? Let's go to Pika. Let's do that. All right, guys. Get vaccinated if you haven't done that already. You should have already done it. Stay safe, and I'll see you guys later. We'll see ya.